again with another video. So this video is going to be covering how to get set up as a public officer in the server and get a vehicle, uniforms, and everything like that. If you haven't watched my other video about how to create a citizen in the CAD, I recommend you go watch that, since you do need to have a citizen registered to create an officer. So let's get into it real quick. To get to this screen, you can press the plus button on your keyboard, and it can bring up a in-game version of the CAD, and it brings it up on a tablet. So what you can go ahead and do is you can click this right here, and since you already made a CAD account in the last video on the website, what you can do is you can just hit login, or hit login via Discord, and then you can just log in with your details that you made the other account with, and you'll be good to go. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click officer up here and click my officers. After doing so, you're going to hit create officer, and then you're going to select the citizen. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to just select one of my other characters. Choose that one, and then call sign symbol 1. So what this basically is your server ID. So it's going to be PO, and then call sign symbol 2 is going to be your server ID. So in the top right, it's in blue. You can't see it that well because the tablet is covering it, but it says 465. So it's going to be 465. Basically, every time you log on to the server, you'll get a different ID, and that's going to be your call sign when you log on. So me specifically, it's going to be PO 465. Yours could be PO 557. It can be any number, and it'll be in the top right here. Department, you want to go ahead and click public LEO and 5PD, and then you can go ahead and hit create. You can also add an image too if you would like to. After you hit create, boom, look at that, it has been created. So what you can go ahead and do is click officer, click dashboard, you can go ahead and click 10-8 on duty, and click officer, and then you can select the officer you just made. You can add what vehicle you're patrolling in if you want, and it'll basically show other units alongside dispatch what vehicle you are using, and that is completely optional. So you can go ahead and click save, and this will allow you to this will allow you to select anything else here, whether you're unavailable on a traffic stop or on a ride along, anything like that. So the first thing that we're going to cover is name searches. So to search someone's name up, it's pretty simple. You can obtain their ID after you pull them over, and we'll just search up Jake Williams once again, and we'll just click on this one, and basically here you go, it shows all the details. If they have a picture of their character, it'll post it right here so you can see if they're the same person as the person in the vehicle, and it shows you the licenses that are valid and everything like that. You can view their registered vehicles here, their registered weapons here, tickets, arrest reports, written warnings, any warrants, and any notes if any officers have left any. If you'd like to leave a note about this person, so another officer that pulls them over knows a bit more information about them, you can add a note. If you ever need to suspend someone's license or revoke any type of licenses, you can do it through here. You can click edit licenses, and then it'll give you a thing here that says suspended firearms license, and you can select that, and you can add an end date, which is optional. Obviously, if they become a convicted felon, then they can't own a firearm at all, so it would kind of be an indefinite suspension. But say, for example, they're just getting it suspended for a week due to an incident, then you can go ahead and just put the date in for a week from today's current date. And the same goes for all this stuff as well, with the hunting license, fishing license, water license for boating, and pilot licenses and everything like that. Let's cancel out of that. You can edit license points. So what you can go ahead and do is you can add points to people when they have, for example, in the case of driving, if you caught someone speeding, what you can do is you can add 2 points to their driving record by going there and clicking this twice, and it'll add 2 points, which kind of gives other LEOs a better representation of the civilian and their past experiences when it came to driving and being encountered by LEO in that sense. Let's see here. Next up, what we can go over is vehicle searches. So to search up a vehicle, you're just going to go over here. You're going to click plate search. After clicking plate search, what you can do is you can enter in the vehicle's VIN number, or you can enter the plate. 99% of the time, you're just going to be entering a plate. So what you can go ahead and do is type in something random here. I'm just going to type in this. And this comes back to a guy named Devontae Jones. It shows the model of the vehicle. It shows the vehicle's VIN number. It shows its insurance status, inspection status, all the other details that you need to conduct your duties well. And you can also add flags here if needed, whether the vehicle is stolen, impounded, or not in drivable condition. Additionally, what you can do is you can also report the vehicle as stolen, and you can also impound it from here as well. And then you can also edit his insurance status, registration, and inspection status and tax status as well, if need be. Most of the time you'll be doing the inspection status if they feel a vehicle inspection, so that mainly only applies to certain truck drivers who are driving for a company and they don't have vehicles that are up to code. So what you can do is you can put that they failed the inspection. Insurance status, this is really up to the driver. This is also up to the driver as well, since they'll be handling all the information about their character. So you won't really be messing with this too much. So yeah, you can also report that it's stolen and everything like that. So that's really basically how the vehicle searches are, as well as you can also add notes to that as well. Next up, what we have is weapon searches. So what you can do is, say for example, you search a civilian's vehicle, or you search them. You can do something like this. You can do /me looks at weapon and checks for the serial number. What do I find? You can do it as a GME if you're searching the vehicle, but if you're just like right next to them and you took it out of their took it off their person, then you can just do the /me, and then they're going to respond with whatever the serial number is, and you can go ahead and go to weapon search, and then you can type in that serial number. And basically this will do is it will come with the registered owner. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly find one here. So yeah, so it basically come up with what the model is, who the owner is as well, and the serial number obviously, and the registration status of the weapon, and if the weapon has any flags. But in this case there's not really any flags that you can add onto weapons, because it wouldn't really just make sense. You're better off kind of adding flags to the person if they have committed certain crimes using a weapon. There wouldn't really be any flags for it, so you don't need to worry too much about that. You have the notepad here, so you can see I've left this from like over, I think, months ago. I've never cleared this notepad, since I usually just use my phone to write down notes, just because it's more convenient for me personally, since I handle a lot of investigative scenes and I tab in and out a lot out of my CAD, so I just use my phone. But you can just type up things in here that you find are important to the scene and relevant. And it gives you a few different options as well if you want to bold something, italicize something, underline, and everything else like that. So you can experiment around with that if you like. Next up, we have arrest reports. So if you ever arrest someone and you need to create one, what you can go ahead and do is click this, and then you can put in the civilian's name, and then you can put their put the address of where you arrested them at. So what I'm going to do is just write down Great Ocean Highway, and then I'll change the postal to 1012. So assuming this happened at the gas station, basically, is what I'm putting it down as. Notes, so this is kind of going to be everything that kind of really happened that is relevant if this went to court. So, you know, interactions when you initially first contact subjects, what their emotions were, how they reacted, what the whole context of the problem was of the situation, and just some other details like names, witnesses, and things of that sort. As well as you can also mark here if the civilian has paid the fine or not for this arrest. Next up, you can go over to violations, and this is where you can search up different violations. You can look for them here if you don't really know the name exactly of the violation that you were putting on the person. All you can do is you can just go right here, and you can scroll down the tab until you find what the violation would kind of fit under when it comes to categories. And then you can just go here. Let's just say this guy got arrested for animal abuse. You can click that. It'll say counts, so how many counts you're trying to charge them with. Right here it's fines, so that you can kind of do it in between 10,000 to 20,000 in this case. Some come with no fines, some come with a fine of 1,000 as a maximum. It's really different for every case to case basis. For this one, you can also give them community service if you would like, and you can also give them jail time, obviously, because they committed animal abuse, which is a horrible offense. And you can also put in here the jail time, which can be between 30 to 90 for this case. And when it comes to jailing people, you can only hold them in jail for a maximum of 5 minutes IRL time. So what I usually like to do is I like to divide this jail time up into seconds. So 30 seconds is usually what I keep it as. In-game, to keep immersion in the RP, I just tell them it's 30 months in jail or something like that. And then they'll kind of understand what I mean by that, and they'll understand that I meant 30 seconds, and then, after that, we'll get it over with and release them. Next up, we have seized items. So if you seize a firearm or anything like that, you can just put Glock 19. You can type in the quantity as well. Whoops. And you can also put whether if it was illegally owned or legally owned. So leave it unchecked if it's legally owned, and leave it checked if it's illegally owned. And you can add quite a few in here, so you can maybe add 1 gram of cocaine, and then you can mark that as illegal, obviously, and then add that as well, and that'll be noted down in the arrest record. Vehicle information: if you pull them over in a vehicle, you can put the vehicle plate, and then it will autofill the model once you put the plate in and everything like that. Same with the color. Speed limit: this kind of depends, once again, because this is optional as it states there, if you've pulled them over for a speeding violation. I mean, in some cases, maybe you pulled them over because they had a warrant out for the arrest after you ran their plate. So this one is purely optional, and I recommend you fill it out if you do have this information, just so it adds a bit more onto the case for the Department of Justice when it goes to court. And connections: you can connect other incidents or case files to this arrest report, and you can also attach certain calls. So as you can see down here, there's active 911 calls, and it'll have the number. So if you responded to a call that came up in the CAD here, what you can go ahead and do is you can take this number. So this one is 35101. So what you can do is you can go here, go to connections, and put the call number, and boom, it links it, and then you can also view it as well. But I wouldn't make sure that I would have that copy and pasted beforehand, because if you look at this, since I backed out, it deletes the information. So you want to make sure you kind of fill this out in one go. Next up, tickets and warnings. These go hand in hand, so I'm just going to go over just the tickets portion. So it's the exact same thing with the citizen part, the address part, and postal part. It's where you stop them. Same with the notes. It's really, everything you witnessed, what happened, and the reason for you giving them the ticket. And then you put the record paid or not paid, if they choose to pay it on site at the scene, or if they choose to pay it later at a later date. Violations: this is the kind of the same thing. You can just put speeding, and then you can fill this out however you'd like. It's kind of up to your discretion. Seized items: if you maybe towed a vehicle, you can put the vehicle under the seized items here. And then vehicle information, once again, is the plate, model, color, and everything like that for the vehicle. And that's basically how you go about doing that. Now, to actually find someone, if they do choose to pay, what you can do is go into your chat and type /fine, and then type in their ID, and then the amount, and then the reason. And then, as you can see, I just kind of find myself right there for speeding. And the maximum on that is 5,000 currently to prevent people from abusing that system to remove cash from others. So that's how that basically works. Back onto the CAD. Business search. So if somebody tells you that they're a part of a business or their vehicle is registered to their business, what you can do is you can type in their business name, and it will basically come up with the information about that business, any employees they have, vehicles, if their business has any tickets or arrest reports or written warnings associated with it with the owner. And that's basically how that works. Next up, what we have is creating bolos. So if, for example, a vehicle runs from you, what you can go ahead and do is you can put out a bolo out on them. So I'm going to type in this random plate, and as you can see, it autofills this part. You can put the description. So basically what you want to write down is what happened, you know, what the driver looked like if you don't know what the driver looked like. With this, it will not autofill if the plate you put in is not registered. So if it's not registered, it's not going to autofill, so you kind of have to fill these in on your own. And then the description, you're just going to have to try to put a description out for the driver in here as well. But if you get a really good look at, for example, a person or a driver of a vehicle that fled from you, and you got their name and everything, and you can positively ID them 110%, what you can go ahead and do is you can click here, you can click on name, and then type in their name. And then, I'm not actually going to submit this, but you can put their description of whatever you want, of what happened, and the reason, and then you can click create, and that's how that works. Next up, we have getting your uniforms. So to get your uniform, what you can go ahead and do is type /EUP, or sorry, not /EUP, /uniform, and then it comes up with these: police, sheriff, police academy cadet. So the ones you're going to be paying attention to is these two at the top: police community services and sheriff community services. So if you're going to be patrolling in Blaine County, what you want to do is you want to select the sheriff one. So if you're patrolling anywhere like above here, so you see where my cursor is, above this area, so you're going all the way over here, this is where you're patrolling, this big area, and all the way up here as well. That's, in that case, you would use the sheriff one. If you're patrolling below here, more so all the way down here in this Los Santos area, you're going to be using the police one. So to go ahead and equip it, what you can do is you can click on this, and you can select whichever one that you please, whatever one kind of fits your style and whatever one you like. And then you can use the K9 one if you do have the K9 script. And you can also use the black swing breaker as well. You can use all these that are listed out right here. Next up, to get your loadout, what you can do is you can press the F10 button to hold the F10 menu. You can click law enforcement. You can scroll down here to LEO loadouts and uniforms. It'll say standard LEO. You can click enter on that. And what it'll do, it'll give you the basic loadout. Do note that as a reputation level 1 or 2, which is what you will most likely be, if you're watching this tutorial, then you don't have access to rifles yet, and you earn that at reputation level 3. So don't worry too much about that, but you do get the Glock, stun gun, flare gun, and you also get a beanbag shotgun and a radar gun and more flares as well. And you can always add on by going here to player related options, weapon options, and add on weapons. You can always add in pepper spray as well if you would like, which is something I highly recommend because it is amazing at stopping people from trying to kill you and stopping them from getting away because of how badly it messes up their vision. If you have bolo wrap, you can also use this as well. So those two are optional ones. The bolo wrap one is optional in case you do have it. If you don't have it, you can buy it from the donation info channel in our Discord by going to the donor box website that will be linked there. I'll put a link in the description to that as well if you'd like. Next up, what we do have is vehicles. So to get your vehicles, you can press F10, go to law enforcement, go to fleet vehicles, scroll down a bit here till you see public police / sheriff CS. With that, and then you can spawn in whichever one of these you like. Since I'm wearing the police one for Los Santos and I'm in Los Santos, I'm gonna select the 20 Tahoe. And basically what you have to do once you get your vehicle is you have to make sure that you follow the vehicle regulations. So making sure that you don't have a visor light and a light bar at the same time. And if my knowledge is correct, you can only have a light bar if you are not a certified LEO. But if you are a certified LEO, then you can have visor lights. But for now, what you can only have is just this lighting setup on your vehicle, which is basically all that this Tahoe can have. But other vehicles like the Charger, they have visor lights that come with them. So try to make your lighting look exactly like this Tahoe's, where you have the where you don't have the visor lights and you have the light bar. You have the ram bar lights and no grill lights, and then you just have these backlights here and whatnot. And then making sure that you also have a ram bar as well is also really good practice as well. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure you change your vehicle plate to your call sign. So PO456. And once again, that's in the top right of your screen. So you see that where my money is? I will zoom in on that. That is where your ID is. But as far as that goes, that is how to get your vehicle, uniform, and weapon. And now we're going to go over one last thing, which is going to be using the radio. Now, to open the radio, what you can do is you can press the F9 key, and that basically pulls this up, and it allows you to go through different radio frequencies. So, radio frequency 1 is for public officers. Radio frequency 2 is also for public officers, but it's for like public officers that are patrolling in Los Santos. And if you're patrolling in Blaine County, then you can go ahead and use frequency number 1. And then frequency number 3 is going to be the number 5 is going to be the frequency for Los Santos police. So a lot of the time people are gonna use the major department frequencies, like RTO 5, which is LSPD's frequency, and they're just going to use that. So public officers are free to use those radio frequencies unless Noose Division Command says otherwise, which they are they're members of staff, and they oversee public officers and things like that. So if they tell you to go to RTO number 1 or 2, you must listen to them. So 5 is for LSPD, 7 is for Blaine County Sheriff's Office, number 9 is for San Andreas State Police, number 15 is for Fire and EMS. Number 122 is for the FAA. 311 is for DOT, if you need tow. And if you want a faster way to change RTO without having to pull it up and everything, what you can do is go to your chat by pressing T. You can type in /R space and then the frequency that you want to join. So if I want to join frequency number 7, I can click that, and it'll take a sec, and I'll be in frequency number 7. If I want to join number 5, I can do /R5, /R5.
I'm 620, I'm about to be in pursuit of a stolen black truck.
LSPD frequency. I'm just going to leave that though, since Area Patrol is currently Los Santos, so they're getting their thing on, and they're doing their work, so I'm just going to leave them be. And now, one more thing that you guys need to do is set up your RTO name. So I'm going to actually join back on that radio frequency. So you'll notice how a lot of these people have different names. And most of them, they have their call sign first, and then they have what they are, which in that case, someone has a trooper written down for them, and then they have their character's name. So basically what you want to make sure you do is you type in /RTO name into the chat. What you're going to do is you're going to type in PO Then your ID, for me it's going to be 456. You're going to do a space. And then you're going to do a line. So if you hold shift and press the backslash button, it will put that little line there for you. So I put PO-456 J dot Williams. So you want to do the first initial and then your character's last name. And that is basically how you change your RTO name. So what you want to just make sure you do is you hit enter on that and don't miss anything. And as you see on the right side, my name has changed. So now you have everything set up and now you're good to go on patrol.